Okay. By the way, I'm recording everyone, just so you guys know. Um, Anyway, so next we have the intros and outros. And for introductions, I would recommend not to say hey. Like, I know that when we're writing an email, sometimes we don't want to sound like very, um, you want to sound professional, but you don't want to sound like almost uptight by using like dear blah 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 blah. You want to still keep the email upbeat, but I just don't think that hey is a very professional way to start an email. I usually use hi or like even like hello. I don't use that much. Hi is usually my go-to. So I say like hi professor, or if I'm talking to my supervisor, then I say hi doctor, blah blah blah. And then another thing, when you are writing the introduction for your email, the kind of opening statement, you want to make sure that you spell the person's name correctly. This goes without saying, but when you spell it wrong, it just kind of like gives the person the impression that you didn't really put any time when you're working on your email. Even if your email was long and it's important, if you spell the person's name incorrectly, it kind of sets the precedent for the rest of the email. So definitely double check that. It takes like 2 seconds. Um, so just pay attention to those. And then I guess outros, ending your email. Um, it really does like, it's the ending tone for your entire email. So some examples that I usually use are like, thank you, best, warmly, best wishes, sincerely. It's honestly whatever suits the tone of your email. I find that I sometimes have like some issues, like for example, if throughout the email I've said thank you a lot, or if I'm asking them for something, or if I let them know, if I'm emailing a professor and I let them know, oh, like this happened, this is why I couldn't turn it in on time, or if I'm asking for an extension, I usually end it with like, thank you, or thank you for your consideration. Um, Otherwise, these examples work pretty well, and you can kind of choose like one or two. Best is kind of like very universal, and it's like a upbeat sounding kind of ending. So that's the one that I usually use the most. And I think the most important thing when you're writing email, a business email especially, is the tone. So since you're writing an email, even though you may be writing it in your own voice, chances are the person receiving the email doesn't know exactly like who you are in person. So you have to be cognizant of how someone may read your email knowing, like not knowing who you are. So let's say you're a really direct person, right? And you're just like in person, you may be like, hey, professor, can I have this question, or can I have this, paper, this file? That may be okay in person because you can directly see how your statement is received by the other person. But in email, you want to make sure that you add, hi, professor, hope your day is going well. I just wanted to ask if you could give me access to this PDF. Thank you, and have a great day, or whatever. So you really want to think about like what you're sending and how it's going to be perceived by the other person. And if you do end up sending like a direct email, sometimes it just like comes off as rude, and you want to really avoid that, especially when you're talking to someone that's of like uh, higher authority than you in a company, or a professor. Obviously it's a professor student relationship. So and something that I do is like, if I'm sitting with my roommate, or if I'm sitting like with one of my friends, I'll just ask them to like read it over for me, just in case like it may sound good to me, but if another person's reading it, it just kind of reinforces, that my point is getting across in a way that doesn't come off as rude or unprofessional. And so a couple of other details to also look out for is, so there's this feature called BCC, which is called like blind carbon copy. And you usually use this when, I mean, it's a good feature to take advantage of. And you usually use this when you're sending an email to like two people that don't really know each other, and it wouldn't really benefit them to know that, like, to basically include the other person's email address. And this is different from CC because, like, let's say you're sending out a group email to a team, you're going to want to use CC so that everyone can see who the recipients are of the email. And that leads me into like group emails. For example, if you're replying to a group email, avoid using like a reply all function. Not everyone wants to just it's kind of like a snowball effect. Like if one person clicks reply all, then everyone in the other group will click reply all, and it'll kind of just turn into a mess of emails of some of people just saying, oh, like received or thank you to whatever email was sent. And then the third thing is, if you're writing like a longer email, I recommend using like spacing. So making your paragraphs very short, because usually when someone's reading over an email, they're going to look at like the first line of a paragraph that you send them, and then they're kind of just skim through the rest of the email, especially if it's someone that has a lot of work to do or is very busy. So using spacing kind of allows them to, it takes advantage of the fact that they're skimming the email so that they can read the most important statements of every paragraph, and therefore they'll get like a more holistic view of your entire email. And then the next thing is that you want to use like simple and understandable language. This is just because like if someone's busy, they don't want to spend time just like figuring out, and the more complex words you use, often there's more connotations associated with that, and you just want to keep it simple, and you want to make sure that your point is getting across in the most simple and understandable way possible. So avoid using like long, lengthy words that can be confusing and that can have like, you know, subtext and connotations. And this next thing is pretty like self-explanatory, but a lot of times I've gotten emails where like people haven't used spell check. And it's just, it's important just to seem professional, and once you get like when you get an email that like people don't know how to like haven't used like the right grammar, uh it just gives a whole like unprofessional vibe to the entire email. I like prefer Grammarly. I just kind of downloaded that like plugin that they have for Gmail, and that way if I am using a word too much, then I can just double click it. It gives me synonyms and stuff. So that I do recommend Grammarly if you have like Gmail. I'm not sure if they have plugins for Outlook or any other kind of email accounts, but they definitely have it for Gmail. So I recommend downloading that. And the last two is, you know, do reference your attachments. So if you do attach a PDF, you should definitely reference back to it. Maybe even like after you say your ending statement. So if you say like, okay, best wishes, like, you know, Yukti, then you want to say like, PS, I attached my resume above, or, you know, I attached my resume to this email, I attached the file that you were looking for, etc. And then the last thing is that you definitely want to read over your emails, and you should also ask others to read over your emails if you can. Like if it's just, if you're unsure, chances are, you know, if your friend or your colleague reads over it, you can just reinforce the fact that, you know, you're getting your point across. So that was all that I had for the presentation. I will be posting the slides probably on the Facebook event for the Facebook page for this event. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. We have, I guess, like 15 minutes left, so. I can also send the link to the slides, I believe. And so, Ishan, in regards to the template,